Hello, my name is Austin Jordan, and this is my presentation on my paper for the Introduction to Philosophy and Ethics class. My paper is on the immorality of censorship and how it limits people from being able to criticize and be able to define and defend their freedoms, especially of speech. My position on the topic of censorship is that I believe that it is completely wrong, that it goes against our basic freedoms that are defined in this country and many other places, that when you censor something, you push down the chance of people being able to decide for themselves what is right and wrong for them to consume. And I am glad to have been able to talk about this topic and write about it because I found it a very interesting thing to learn and research and write about. I am happy that I got to do this for this class. Overall, for the paper, I wanted to be able to show, not just with examples, but through my own arguments, why I decided to defend the freedoms we have through writing and pushing against censorship and explaining, hopefully, to not just people who read this paper, to people I also talk to, that censorship is immoral and how to define why it is immoral. And I am especially glad to have been able to undertake this task. And I'm thankful again for the opportunity to have written this paper and to just keep showing others why. To go a little more in depth on the paper, examples of why censorship is immoral from bigger viewpoints would be going back in history and seeing how countries like Germany under the Nazi rule would burn books to keep people from learning and to suppress political ideas, religious ideas, art ideas, to criticize. That is the main reason why I stand heavily against censorship. It's relegating of being able to criticize. I would like to use a quote from an author that I believe heavily agrees on, and it goes against censorship, with the author George Orwell in his statement, "If liberty means anything at all, it means the ability to tell others what they wish not, the ability to tell others the things they wish not to hear." Censorship pushes that. It takes away the ability to push against, to strike against, to say, we don't like what you're censoring, we don't like this, we wish to stand against it. This paper is emotionally a thing I am glad to have been, again, writing and researching and just going more into morality and defining what that is. And I'm just grateful again for being able to pick this topic, and after seeing some of the other topics, I just felt being able to choose this one after looking at some of the others was a better choice in the end for me than how it originally I thought it would turn out. The research for this paper was one of the best things, I would have to say, more so than writing the paper, because it let me learn more than enough of what I needed to write and discuss, and just being able to understand why censorship is immoral, not just from a book standpoint, but why it's immoral for movies, why it's immoral for other media, religious, political, because censorship doesn't just damage one person, it damages a group of people, and then more people, and then more people, and then it makes us more ignorant and stupid over time. because that's what censorship is used as, a tool, a weapon to put people down. And I wish to stand against that, and that's why I've written my paper on this, to show indefinitely how, through my standpoint, through my viewpoints, why it is immoral. Censorship is also not just immoral from a viewpoint on how it limits us, it's also immoral on how it limits our freedoms. It limits the ability to criticize the government for wrong actions. It relegates us from being able to choose what we wish to read and write and research, and it forces us to go along with what other people decide for us, and that is wrong. Freedom of choice is one of the greatest things we are able to have, and censorship steals that chance away from us. We look at countries, again, like Germany, or more recently North Korea, or communist Russia. Removing that choice from people takes their freedoms away and takes their chances away from being able to fight back. As I have said, censorship is a weapon against the people, used by the people in power who wish to put others down. And that is a huge reason why it is immoral, and a part of why I talked about that in the paper and written that. And I am glad to have been, again, as I've stated before, glad to have written this and hopefully shown others that my viewpoints are hopefully going to be able to change others, hopefully for the better, and have them start thinking why censorship is immoral and why it should be done away with, why censoring people or objects or things doesn't make countries safer, it makes them stupider and easier to control. And as I continue on, I wish passionately to help explain to others why it makes us easier to control, because it forces people to conform, not super fast, but slowly over time. You take a book over here that criticizes others and you remove it. You take a movie that somebody doesn't like just because of the language, you take that, and then it begins a slow, slippery slope. You start banning one thing, people are going to want another banned, and then it'll just start going on and on and on why this should be banned, this person should be banned from speaking at campuses, this person, what they're saying is hate speech and should be censored. When did we become such a hateful generation and area that we saw that the book burnings of yesteryear were good, and that banning things just because we disagree with them is the right thing to do? I implore people that read this or listen to this, begin to understand, when we ban others, we become the very thing we are seeking to stop. When we start banning things, we lose sight of what we wish to protect, what we wish to help. Banning books in libraries, banning movies, banning art, all of this is not going to help make this country or other countries safer. It's just, as I've stated before, making us stupider and less easy to fight back against tyranny. Censorship is a weapon of immorality. It is a weapon of the enemy, and it is a weapon we must stand against. I am eternally grateful might be a big word to use here, but I am grateful for this opportunity to state why I believe what I believe, and hopefully have others learn more about it as well. I am hoping that this plea in this presentation helps reach other people, and that this paper touches on other people's hearts. Thank you for this opportunity to, again, write for this class. And this class has been a great opportunity for me to learn, and I am thankful for the things we have learned over the period of this class, and that trying to understand each other is the greatest thing we can do to stand against immorality and censorship, and why we must fight against it. I'm thankful again for how you have taught this class, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. Thank you again.